Welcome back, everybody. I'm your lovely host, Will, and today we have Robert joining us. Robert and I will demo for you a nice little warm-up followed through some flows in the yoga practice prior to taking the balls and bringing it into the practice. So everybody got to come on down if you're not seated already and find yourself in easy pose. This is Sukhasana. Arms could rest wherever they feel most comfortable. Some of us might put the palms right over the knees. Maybe bring the palms to the heart, your choice. Eyes closed. Begin to tune everything else out and just listen and feel the breath enter and leave the body. Just a couple of breaths here. You start to blink your eyes open. We're going to have some seated twists. Arms reach as you inhale. And as you exhale, take your first twist over to the left side. So use the left palm for support behind you. Right palm reach for the outside of that left thigh. Maybe we lift the spine a little bit more to open the chest. And then coming back to neutral, we're just going to switch sides. So using now the right palm behind you, take that left arm and bring it and scoop it to the outside of that right thigh. Allow yourself to just pick up the chest, draw and sink that belly in. Good. And then find yourself coming all the way back up to center. We're now going to add some side bends using that left palm for support first. Reach that right arm up. Allow yourself to open up towards the right ribs, giving yourself some space here in this nice little side bend. And then coming back to neutral, let's go ahead and switch sides. Right palm supports and the left arm reaches. Good. And then come back up to neutral. Inhale, arms reach all the way up again. And then exhale, let yourself lean forward. Using the palms for support, we're simply going to crawl yourself into a forward fold. Really begin to use your breath here to draw and engage the belly a little bit more. Lengthen a little bit more from the low back. And then slowly roll yourself onto all fours and make your way up onto tabletop pose. So in tabletop, we start stacking the shoulders over the wrists and hips over the knees. Inhale, scoop up your chest and relax the belly. And as you exhale, tuck in the chin, roll the belly in, maybe even tuck the toes and press your feet down. Good, so follow the breath. Inhale, release the toes, the belly, and scoop up the chest, look up. And as you exhale again, roll the chin, the belly in, maybe even the toes. A couple more of these. Inhale again, allow yourself to scoop up again. And as you exhale, curl everything in. One more, inhale again, allow yourself just to scoop up. And exhale, tuck in the belly, the chin, maybe even the toes. Make your way back into neutral spine. Tuck the toes or not, I want you guys to lean back towards your heels behind you. Sitting up on your heels as comfortable as you can. We're just going to do some joint freeing here. Rolling around onto the wrists, one direction. Rolling around on the elbows. Go ahead and stack that left arm to the floor so you can roll that shoulder up and around one direction. Roll the right shoulder the other direction. Switch sides. Left palm for support so you can roll that left shoulder around one direction. And roll the shoulder the opposite direction. Good. Since we've worked on our upper body, let's go ahead and come back onto all fours and begin to roll around on the hips. Nice little hip circles starting off with the right side. With your bent right knee, bring it to the chest. Bring the elbow out to the elbow. Bring it back to neutral. And then circle the hip just one direction. And circle it the opposite direction. Switching sides. Go ahead and release the right knee. Pick up the left knee to the chest. To the elbow. And back. So again, circle it to the chest, elbow and back. And then go the opposite direction. It's a couple more. Good. Now that we've come back up to neutral, allow yourself now to tuck the toes, straighten out the knees into your first downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, since it's our first downward dog, maybe we bend one knee at a time. Allow yourself to just march in place for a moment. Notice how the hamstrings are feeling as well. If the hamstrings are fairly tight, you guys, allow some bend at the knees or maybe even spread the legs a little bit wider. Look up as you bend at the knees. Go ahead and walk yourself to the top of the mats into a forward fold. Relax the neck for a minute, let yourself dangle. And then using your core strength, roll yourself up one vertebra at a time. As you come to standing, roll the shoulders around one direction and then roll the shoulders the opposite direction. In your Tadasana mountain pose, go ahead and bring the palms to open by the side. Inhale, arms reach. And as you exhale, swan dive it forward. We inhale into your flat back. Maybe we're going to place the palms to the shins or thighs. And exhale, come to a deeper forward fold. Inhale all the way up to standing. Reach the arms up and over the head. Second set, exhale, swan dive it forward. Come up again, halfway lift, inhale. This time bend at the knees, plant the palms, and step back into your high plank and pause here for a few breaths. You really want to fire up the core here, get the belly nice and engaged. Repress your 10 fingers to the floor, create a dome between the shoulder blades. Clench your butt cheeks and press the heels towards behind you. First modified push-up, release the knees, roll the shoulders forward, and then bend the elbows towards the ribs. Release the belly, your toes. We inhale into Cobra. And then pump yourselves up onto all fours. Tuck the toes into downward facing dog. Good. Let's try that vinyasa again. So from high plank, slowly lower the knees, follow through with the chest. Here's your modified push-up. Release the belly and the toes. Come up. Here's your Cobra pose. And as you exhale, pump back onto all fours into your downward facing dog. Allow yourself to just stabilize in downward facing dog for a few breaths. And feel the hamstrings, you guys. Make any adjustments you need to the knees, to the legs to make this nice and comfortable. Press the shoulders towards your thighs and pump onto all 10 fingers. Press your knuckles down onto the floor. Bend your knees as you inhale, look forward. And then exhale, lightly step both feet to the tops of the mats. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, deeper forward fold. Let's come all the way up to standing. Reach the arms. Good. And as you exhale, swan dive again. Inhale again into your flat back. Bending at the knees as you exhale, plant the feet back into plank pose. This time without lowering the knees, see if you can come down into a nice chaturanga push-up. Release the toes, keep the thighs lifted, lift up into your upward facing dog this time. And then tucking the toes, pump yourself back to downward facing dog. So in your vinyasas, you choose. You could always come up either to Cobra or up dog, come down onto the knees or no knees into your low push-up. Follow the breath, most important. And we'll all exhale ourselves back to downward facing dog. Good. Couple breaths here, everybody. Moving on your next inhale, we're going to bend at the knees again and look forward. And as you exhale, lightly step or hop to the top of the mats. Come up again, halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, deeper forward fold. We rise on up to standing. As we inhale, reach the arms all the way up. And as you exhale, swan dive it forward. Let's come up again, halfway lift, inhale. Bending at the knees as you exhale, plant the palms. Now you choose whether you want to take a vinyasa or not, whichever modified position you'd like to take. Follow the breath as you transition from one pose to the next. And then roll the toes back down so you can find yourself back to downward facing dog. Nice. Downward facing dog, when I add, lifting your right leg up on your next inhale. Go ahead and lift that leg nice and high to the sky. Pointing the toes towards the floor. Good. Nice little hip opener here. And then when you're ready, we're going to bend at that knee so you can stack the hip open towards the left. Do the best that you can to keep the shoulders nice and square so you're not leaning that body weight towards that left shoulder. Take a pause here. One more breath, inhale. And as we exhale, bring your right knee to the right elbow. Good. And as you inhale, go back into that three-legged dog, restack. And exhale, knee now comes to the nose. Inhale again, restack the hip. And as you exhale, bring the knee across to the left elbow. Good. Inhale again, restack. And as you exhale, bring the knee to the nose. And then gently stepping the foot right between the thumbs, setting up for a nice low lunge here. Release that left palm to the floor and take a twist. Joint stack here starts from the knee over the right ankle. Right shoulder stacks over that left shoulder. Reaching your right fingertips nice and high to the sky and really open up the heart here. Act like you're going to spike a volleyball over that net with that right palm. We're going to slowly transition this into side planks. So draw that right leg towards the center of the mat until you can come up to the outside of that left foot. Now stack your feet, hips, and shoulders on top of one another. If this is too much, you guys, you could always place your right foot back down onto the floor. Or if you're still building that shoulder strength, core strength, maybe come down onto that left elbow and come towards the center of the mat. Slowly find yourself coming back into that low lunge. So replanting that right foot back down. Good. Transitioning slowly into this warrior 3. Adjust your fingers so that they're under the shoulders. Picking up that left foot behind you. Try to get that left foot nice and parallel to the floor. Pointing the left toes down to the ground. Once you get nice and balanced here, you could either place the palms to the heart or fly your arms away into airplane. Little micro bend on that right knee. Toes are active. Take one more breath here. And then slowly go ahead and come to a forward fold, stepping that left foot forward. Inhale, come up halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Come up to standing. So reach the arms all the way over the head. Good. Last set. So as we exhale, we swan dive it forward. Come up again, halfway lift, inhale. And as you exhale, bend at the knees, plant the palms. Vinyasa or not, your choice. Lowering down with or without the knees. Cobra or upward facing dog on an inhale. And as we exhale, voila, we're back at downward facing dog. So now we lead on to the left side. Left leg lifts as an inhale. Pointing the toes down towards the floor. You're trying to bring that heel as high as you can towards behind you, opening up the hip here. Good. Bending at the knee, go ahead and stack your hip. So find yourself a moment here again to not over open towards that left shoulder and dumping all that load onto the right shoulder. As you exhale, we're going to do that nice little core work, bringing that left knee again, squeeze that left knee towards that left elbow. So come forward, squeeze. And as you inhale, keep the hips stacked, open it up. As we exhale, bring the knee to the nose. Good. And as we inhale, restack. As you exhale, bring the knee to the right elbow. Good. Inhale again, restack. And then as you exhale, knee to the nose, gently step your foot between the thumbs for a low lunge first, planting that right palm this time. Go ahead and lift that left arm nice and high to the sky. So feel your left knee stack right above your heel. And then stacking that left shoulder over the right, reach your fingers nice and high to the sky and act like you're going to spike a volleyball over that net. Good. And take one more breath here. So just like we did on the other side, we're going to transition this to side plank. So draw that left foot to the middle of the mat. Slide to the outside of your right foot as you stack your feet, hips on shoulders on top of each other. Again, if you feel like this is too much, simply bend that left knee and place that left foot back down to the floor, or maneuver your right elbow back down to the ground. Take one more breath. Slowly come back to that low lunge. Go ahead and transition your left foot back to the top of the mat. Using your fingers and palms for support, transition to warrior 3, picking up that right leg. Adjust your arms so that they're under the shoulders. Once you get nice and balanced here, you can pick up the palms for prayer or let the arms fly into airplane and begin to feel the details from ground up. So your toes are engaged, little micro bend at the left knee, point your right toes to the floor. Keep breathing. And then slowly coming to the top of the mat, step the foot up as you come to a forward fold. Let all the air out. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, deeper forward fold. And rise on up. Draw all the way to the sky. Palms touch to the heart. Close the pose. Next piece here, chair pose. So with the feet together, big toes may touch. Go ahead and squeeze the inner thighs towards one another. And take a peek. You want to see the toes past the knees. And if you're not seeing that, go ahead and lean the hips back a little bit. Pinkies face towards one another. Kind of scooping up this beach ball up and over the head. Belly's nice and sunken in as well. Good. Squeeze the thighs, squeeze the belly, breathe. Exhale, dive yourself forward. Inhale, flat back. Bend at the knees, plant the palms. Go ahead and step back. Flow through the vinyasa or not. Meet me back at downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, let's add. Inhale, right leg lifts behind you. Knee to the chest as we exhale, step the foot all the way between the thumbs. And then rise on up into crescent lunge. So it's crescent lunge, nice little introduction to a balancing act here as well. The arms up and over the head. Act like you're going to take off and run with that left heel. Stacking your right knee over the heel. Belly is nice and engaged. Shoulders somewhat relaxed, and then blast the arms up and over the head. As you exhale, we transition to Warrior 2. Palms to the heart. Adjust your legs, and then spread the arms, letter T. Ideally, you're trying to get the shoulders to stack over the hips. The left foot is about parallel to the outside of your mat. Good. Belly is nice and drawn in, and breathe. The next pose we're going into is our reverse warrior. Left palm supports against the thigh. Right arm reaches up and over. I like to describe this as a curl from the elbow all the way towards the ribs. Remember that this is a nice little side bend, you guys, so avoid arching the back here. Good. Transitioning now to extended side angle. Bending at the right elbow, lightly stack it over the thigh. Reaching that left arm up and over the head. Again, there's a stacking of the shoulders taking place here, opening up the chest towards the left. Keep pinning the outside of your left foot to the floor, keeping your weight balanced in the center. Belly is still nice and engaged. Inhale, let's get out of this. Reverse your warrior here. And as you exhale, we windmill the palms down. As you pick up your left heel, step the right foot back. Lifted right leg power push-up, maybe for 1, for 2 push-ups if you wish. And then release the foot as you inhale yourself up into your back bend of choice. Exhale, meet me back at downward facing dog. Flowing on the left side, left leg lifts as you inhale. Exhale, knee to the chest. Gently step the foot between the thumbs, making your way up again into crescent lunge, inhaling the arms reach. So again, pause for a moment. Get nice and stable here, you guys. Let your back heel act like it's gonna take off and run. Press onto your big left toe. Keep your left thigh engaged. Belly's drawn in. Shoulders relaxed. Let the fingers be active to the sky. Transitioning next into Warrior 2. So when you're ready, we're gonna bring the palms to the heart. Lower that heel behind you. Adjust your legs. And then spread the arms into a letter T. This now, the back foot is parallel to the back of the mat. Still stacking that left knee over the heel. Shoulders are nicely even stacked over the hips. And simply allow your fingers to just be drawn apart. Good. We're going to transition now into your reverse warrior. Flipping that left palm, reach that left arm up and over, and reach that right arm towards the right thigh. Again, this is a nice little side body opening here, you guys. Let the left fingers do the driving as you open up to the left ribs. Keep pressing onto the big left toe to keep your weight balanced in the center. Belly's nice and drawn in. And then as we exhale, let's transition to extended side angle. So lightly place the left elbow against the thigh as you reach that right arm up and over the head. As we lean that body weight towards the front of the mat, keep pressing to the outside of your right foot this time. Chest is nice and open. Let's get out of this. Inhale, reverse the warrior. And as you exhale, we're going to transition to a power push-up. So both palms are down. Keep your left leg lifted as an option. 2.5 push-ups if you wish for 1, 2. And then we release the foot as you inhale, come up for the back bend. Again, cobra, your choice. Upward facing dog, you choose. And then meet me back at downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, bend at the knees. Take an inhale, look up. Exhale, lightly step or hop to the tops of the mats. Come up again, halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, deeper forward fold. Good. Inhale, come back into that chair pose, and let's switch things up. From chair pose, we're going to add a little bit of wide straddle here. So go ahead and spread the legs a little bit wider than the hips. Allow yourself to sink in. Nice little hip dip here, you guys. Good. And draw belly in. Good. Keep the fingers active. A couple of breaths. Inhale, rise on up. Good. And then slowly exhale, let yourself come back into that dip. Good. Inhale again, rise on up. Good. And as we exhale, slowly come back down for that dip. Couple more. Squeeze again as you stand on up. Good. And then slowly come back into that hip dip. Good. Come on, standing again. And as you exhale, come back into that hip dip. Good. Slowly come into a nice seated position this time. Let's add a little bit of core work, shall we? Starting off with nice little boat pose. Set this up for your Navasana. Legs squeeze together. Lifting at the legs. You can keep the knees bent as much as you'd like, or otherwise, if you want a little more challenge, you can straighten out the legs. Totally your call. Shoulders are nice and square here. Toes are nice and active. Good. Maybe you reach your arms up and over. You could always use the palms for support if you need. Pause here for just a few breaths. Fingers are active. Breath is nice and strong. Also helps when that chin is nicely tucked. Let's go ahead and take a break from this, you guys. Release the feet, release the palms, and just swish your knees, your hips side to side. And then begin to roll up and back so you can pop yourself back into a squat. And we're going to take a stab at our first arm balance. Going right into crow pose, set it up. Spread the fingers wide, arms, shoulders width apart. As you draw the hips nice and high to the sky, begin to draw your knees up towards the armpits, lifting one leg at a time. Maybe both feet will come off the floor. And if you can, bring the big toes to touch behind you. It's always a better idea to set your focus towards the top edge of your mat. And we slowly release back down. Come back down onto a seat. Extend your legs out. Still a bit more core here, you guys. And let's lay back down. Flatten yourselves completely onto the floor. In this exercise, go ahead and interlace the fingers. We're going to pick up your legs off the ground. Pick up your shoulders off the floor. And we're going to do nice little twists here. Twist to the right, left, right, left. Good. Right, left, right, left. Keep squeezing. Toes are nice and active. Keep that chin nicely tucked. And then we slowly release. Go ahead and hug the knees into the chest, everybody. Press the sacrum, your low back to the floor, and let yourself just swirl side to side. As you hug the knees in, let's come back up into a squat. Good. Giving yourself a moment here, we're going to take a second attempt at the arm balance. You good, Robert? We can do it, man. Okay, so let's do another set. So planting the fingers, spread the fingers wide, arms or shoulders width apart. As you lift the hips nice and high to the sky, bend the elbows and stack the knees towards the armpit. Press your tricep against the knee against the tricep, lifting one foot at a time. Your focus is towards the top edge of your mat. Maybe the big toes will touch behind you. Keep squeezing the belly. We're going to slowly release the feet down to the floor. Step yourself back in high plank. Take a vinyasa or not, you choose. Follow the breath as you lower. Inhale, scoop yourself up. Exhaling back to downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, bend your knees so you can look up, hop up, exhale. And then inhale, make your way into a squatted position. We're just going to come back from where it all started, back into a nice little seated pose. Let yourself just relax for a minute here. Take a moment. Breathe. And that concludes part 1 of our Yoga Ballers class.